Welcome to the Eclectic Saloon. Sit a spell as we tell another tall tale of the West. Only this time, we go to the eastern lands, not cowboy country, but the land of what they call civilization, but as anyone can tell you, isn't civilized at all. Quote, sometimes I wonder if I'm even human anymore. Sex, love, even the slightest yearning I've repressed and rechanneled into the almighty will. How perverse it feels in her presence. Every relationship was a charade, or some reluctant excursion I knew I would never complete. Vicky, Silver, Talia, Selena. She would last the longest because she was safe. She was the enemy. She would always be the enemy. My criterion for a relationship. So many women. All those pretty party girls, their sweet smiles and simple hopes. Once the photo ops were over, so were they. Back in the limo, back to wherever they had come from. I'm sure they wondered what went wrong. Was it something I said? Did I come on too strong? Clinging? Never knowing that they stood a better chance with Freeze. The day I put this on was the end of me. Gotham would be safe, but there would be no rescue for Bruce Wayne. No love, no family, no real intimacy, no real losing oneself in someone else. Not in this life. Bruce Wayne. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a very interesting topic for you. Of course, being the one and only Batman, Bruce Wayne, but specifically his love life and his relationships because of one important reason. I got a comic book a year ago that I only read a couple weeks ago, and it's a very nice book. It is a collection of comic book stories by writer Tom King, and it pretty much goes through a selection of comics that have to deal with Batman and Catwoman, um, in a continuity where they got romantically involved and even married. Um, and that kind of sparked us to talk about Batman and his relationships today. Joshua, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty great. I'll tell you what, I'm doing pretty great. It's a wonderful day. But on the matter of Batman's love interests, in retrospect, Batman is bit of a man-ho, I'm not gonna lie. This dude, he gets around with like an insane amount of women to the point that you really gotta start to wonder, does he really, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if Bats really means what he says half the time. But regardless, um, Logan and I were thinking of who the best person for the good old Bat was, and I know my pick is Wonder Woman, and I would back that up with the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated TV shows. That's my pick.
It's really unfortunate how wrong Joshua tends to be so much of the time.
Okay, buddy. All
If you
right.
can't tell, I'm actually a by the fact that I have a comic book for it. I'm actually a really big fan of Catwoman, but there was one other relationship that Batman had that I was actually um, that I originally was more a fan of, and then um, and then I got this comic book, and now all of a sudden I am a massive uh, Batman and Catwoman apologist, and I will not apologize.
Interesting. You know, uh, I think the most I remember about Batman and Catwoman being, well, about where their relationships often end up is the reason why I wouldn't pick her. And I found it interesting because you mentioned where they got married. I remember that when they get married, they eventually divorce because that was the game. The game wasn't them actually being tied down. It was the danger, was the chase for them because they're both weird. One dresses like a cat, one dresses like a bat. They enjoyed the thrill of it. And then once the thrill is gone because they're actually hitched, Catwoman doesn't like it, and so she leaves. And I'm like, Wonder Woman's better because Wonder Woman was shown as a reliable partner. She's strong. She's already in the thick of it. The worst case scenario is you get stuck with Injustice Wonder Woman, who is a murderous psychopath. But you know, tomato, tomato. I don't see the issue.
It's all dependent on continuity, but we can get into that later. So, the main bulk of this episode, as I have it planned out, um, is we're gonna go through a list of uh, major and minor Batman love interests, and we'll kind of stop along the way in spots, talk about it, and then me and Joshua will stop being friends whenever we get to arguing why we think which one is better.
All right, yeah, listen, the furry will fight for his cat, but man of culture, I root for the muscular, powerful, clearly better option.
I will say every time I hear someone say that they're a man of culture, I instantly think I'm never touching your phone and I don't want to see your search history.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
he takes
So,
cat. We go see. We gonna see.
we begin with um the first one on our list I had never actually heard of before, which I guess means I'm a fake Batman fan, but maybe not really because this character's first appearance was in Detective Comics number 31. And that is Julie Madison. Quoted as
Julie
having
Madison.
say quoted as having saying, "Bruce, you're not all alone anymore. Not as long as I'm around." The first woman to ever date Bruce Wayne, Julie debuted in the golden age of comics. Julie Madison was originally an actress, but her character was changed many times in the following decades. In the Earth 2 continuity, Julie and Bruce were engaged, but they broke up after her acting career took off and she became disillusioned with his playboy lifestyle. On Earth 1, Julie's history resembled that of her Earth 2 counterpart, but after her breakup with Bruce, she married the King of Moldavia.
Hmm.
After her first husband died, she married Prince John of Tyburn. The
Wait,
New
what?
Earths. Hmm?
She's marrying a bunch of royalty.
Yeah, that's what it says.
What?
Um,
Okay.
in the New Earth version of Julie, she was the daughter of Norman Madison, a wealthy entrepreneur and a law student. She started a relationship with Bruce, but when she learned that he was Batman and that her father was killed as a result of Batman's actions, she left Gotham and her relationship with Bruce, choosing to join the Peace Corps in Africa. In the current Prime Earth continuity, Julie is an artist and her father is Mallory Madison, an arms dealer who sold the gun that was used to kill Bruce's parents. Julie first dated Bruce Wayne during their teenage years, but met him again after his mind had been erased and he had forgotten ever being Batman. The two fell
What?
passionately in love, with Bruce being prepared to settle down and marry Julie. However, things got so bad in Gotham that Alfred realized Batman was needed, and he and Julie were forced to give Bruce his old memories back, erasing his mind of the relationship. You just imagine that. Like, going on a date with someone, like, starting a whole life together, like, an addition to your life, and then you find out, oh yeah, your dad is, not directly responsible for my parents being killed, but he's uncomfortably close to the fact that my parents are dead.
I don't think that's what you want to lead with on the first date or the any of them actually. Holy moly, that's okay.
That's,
So yeah,
that's,
I think a few obvious reasons why she's not the best.
well, hang on, I'm not even
One,
done yet.
she. Oh God, there's more.
Hmm. In Batman and Robin, Ellie McPherson plays Julie. Though the character seems to have little in common with her comic book self, the character adds little to the plot, and many of her scenes were edited out of the film's final cut. And in the comics of the new Batman adventures, Bruce briefly dated Julie, but broke up with her after he discovered she was after his fortune.
Oh, so she's been reduced to a gold digger.
Yeah, she is. I think she is. I have no idea why she's the first on this list. Maybe because I didn't make this list. This list was made by somebody else. And um maybe this is in order of appearance. But yeah.
Could be.
Um I mean, I will say reading back on it, I kind of like her a little bit better than I used to. I definitely like the New Earth version where she like it's with Bruce is good with Bruce, but then very obviously because Batman's actions caused the death of her father, she no longer can date Bruce, but there's no mention of her like leaking his identity.
True, true. At the same time, she's a regular, not even just a regular person. And one continuity, she's a star, and in other continuities, it's clear that she's at least well off because of her dad. And if we're factoring in that stuff, then we got to worry about like potential storylines. Maybe Court of Owls, maybe her old man's a part of that. But also, if she's an actress, that means that she's well known. She'd be in constant danger, and she's a regular person. And Bruce is also a public figure, so it'd be a whole lot of confusion between him having to juggle more of Bruce Wayne with his, if she would like marry him, his spouse in public, um, and also just keeping her safe because she's just a regular person.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and like debate because again, I mean, we did kind of like go ahead and say like here's like who we think's the best. So like we've already kind of gotten the big meat and potatoes out of here, but I guess we still need to make an episode. So let's go down the list. That's a horrible way to look at it, but
Yeah.
we got a whole lot of people to talk about. This list is rather extensive, and we are only on number two.
How many are there?
I don't remember, but it's probably
Okay.
closer to 20.
I'm not gonna
But
lie.
some of them have like very short uh
Eh, but
trees.
still, Batman is probably one of the best advertisements for male contraceptives because despite having the body count of John Wayne Gacy, this guy has somehow managed to only father one biological child and adopt the rest. So,
Can we even keep that in? I mean, to be fair, I mean, to your point, in I know they retconned this away. At one point, Damian Wayne was how do I put this delicately for the YouTube censors? Hi YouTube censors, if you're still reviewing this, I'm sorry. Um, there was at one point where Damian Wayne his father wasn't exactly who? How did basically there is a continuity where Damian Wayne comes about because Talia al Ghul wants
oh, I remember
Bruce, but
this.
Bruce doesn't want Talia. And that's probably going to be the safest way to put that. Sorry if I needed to put a trigger warning in here somewhere. That's my bad. If you can read the subtext here. But yeah, so I'm glad they changed that. I had mentioned that at one point to one of my other friend, for one of my friends from high school who was really into comics. She got really mad and was like, "Don't you know that they like retconned that?" And I'm like, "No. Also, what does retcon mean?" Because this was like very early into my
Oh, dang.
comic book career. Yeah. Um.
Even
Um.
then, if they have to retcon that, even, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's like, because of what Talia is like, I'm sure she'll come up later on, so I'll keep it brief, but because of what she's like as a character, I would not be surprised if that still happened. I'm dead serious. She seems, no matter what, like she'd be the type of character to pull something like that. I'm dead serious. In every continuity I've seen her in.
Well, we're gonna actually get to because this list actually paints her in a little bit better light. But first, we got to talk about Vicky Vale. Quoted
Oh,
as having s-
never
quote,
liked Vicky.
quoted as having said, "You puzzle me, Bruce. Sometimes I wonder if you're really the socialite playboy you pretend to be." A photographer and reporter, Vicky Vale was initially introduced as a woman smart enough to expose Batman's secret identity. In this quest, she became involved with Bruce Wayne as she suspected him of being Batman, and she was determined to find evidence. Her character has undergone few changes over the years, and many elements of her original characterization have remained. Vicky disappeared from the Batman comics when Julius Schwartz took over the editorial office of Batman in 1964. She was eventually reintroduced in the early 1980s, brought back by Gary Conway. Unfortunately, this idea proved ill-advised as Vicky's character was not developed and instead it was simply a modern take on the same old concept of learning Batman's secret identity. Writer Doug Moenik was mainly responsible for slowly removing Vale from Batman's love life after he took over from Conway, but she has since been used as a recurrent love interest for Bruce Wayne by many other writers. Most recently, in Bruce Wayne: The Road Home, Vicky finally got proof of Batman's identity, but she kept it to herself and became a confidant and ally of the Batman family rather than a love interest of Bruce Wayne. Vicky Vale was portrayed in the Tim Burton Batman film by Basinger? Kim Basinger. Man, I hope you guys really enjoy how real and authentic this podcast is because goodness knows. Goodness knows. I do.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not gonna lie. I've never, whether it be Vicky Vale or Lois Lane, or even was Iris West a reporter in the Flash? No, I can't remember. No matter what it is, whenever the love interest is a reporter, I never like them. I cannot stand them because they are the most insufferable person ever, just because the plot needs them to be. Because no matter what the reason is, they forego common sense. Oh, there's a superhero or a vigilante who's covering up their secret identity and they're actively fighting against villains who would actively tear apart their entire lives. Let's find out who they are and spread it to the entire city because we can. And then mysteriously they find out who the person is and they all of a sudden have a change of heart like, no, I can't reveal who you are. I won't. I promise. No. And even after that, it's just no. I never liked I matter of fact, my favorite version of Vicky Vale is from the Telltale Batman games, where she plays a major role. I won't spoil it in case anybody hasn't seen it somehow, despite it being almost like a decade. But she is my favorite in the Telltale Batman series.
I thank you for not spoiling it because did not play the Telltale Batman games.
Yeah, see,
I
I low
also
key have a mental
I
pain
also
last night.
forgot they existed for like a good minute.
Seriously, bro, you gotta watch a video on them. They are so good, especially Vicky Vale.
Honestly, dude, I would rather just like play them just because they are like I've seen clips from it, and I think there was even an iOS release for them, so like really accessible. Just something I never got around to. Um,
Alright.
Vicky Vale was portrayed in the Tim Burton Batman film by Kim Basinger. This version of the character was a renowned photographer, but aside from playing the damsel in distress role in the film, there is little significance to her role. She was the first version of the character to learn the identity of Batman without seeking it. In various other continuities, Vicky Vale is portrayed as an occasional date of Bruce Wayne. I'm kind of with you. Not my uh, favorite out of all of his. I do remember there is so anyone who like really enjoys comic books will know what I'm about to talk about more than likely because this was a really infamous comic run. And I got to get this right because there's two comic runs that have very similar names. The comic run is I think it's called All-Star Batman and the Boy Wonder, maybe? There is a continuity called All-Star Batman that is actually one of the best and most well-received Batman storylines of all time. And then there's another one that was so bad that that version of Batman has his own page on the villain wiki. But
Interesting. I think it is All Star Batman, though.
in in the bad All-Star Batman, um Batman actually ends up sending Vicky Vale to the hospital because he needs a dramatic entrance, so he rams through a car that Vicky Vale is sitting in to to kidnap Dick Grayson, who is being hunted down by mobsters.
What? That's oh,
That
okay.
Batman that Batman run is it's something. It's also famous for he has a meeting with Green Lantern where he paints the entire room and himself and Robin yellow and offers him a glass of lemonade.
What type of fever dream Batman is this?
Oh,
Just trolling
he's
and then hitting people with cars?
he's he is he's a jerk and he swears like way more than like the kid who first gets let loose and is like able to say whatever he wants now and he just drops curse words whenever he wants. That's this version of All-Star Batman. Now I think the other Batman has a similar vulgarity problem. Um but I have not seen a lot about that. Um It's just I've heard kind of secondhand. So take that with a grain of salt, but I do know that Batman's no longer like the squeaky clean like 60s censored version with Adam West. He's not the uh gothic grime 90s version either. Uh so um you know,
Okay.
it's kind of whatever, but I just wanted to throw that out there because that's like the one uh it's like the one place I really think of with Vicky Vale is that comic run. Um, Quick shout out here. Uh, there's a guy on YouTube by the name of Hugbees who has done several comic book videos, and he is where I first heard about the bad All Star Batman from. He's hilarious, a little vulgar himself, but he's hilarious. Um, while I'm thinking about like the work he did, let me go shout him out. You know how it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
So next up on our list, um, is my favorite, and I can give you one argument for why she's the best because she appears in the first Batman comic, the first comic book just titled Batman. No Detective Comics trickery here. And that is Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman, quoted as having said, "You and me, the two orphans lost, who see the weak in one another." Batman's relationship with Selina Kyle, the Catwoman, is the most enduring and iconic of his relationships. Unfortunately, their unconventional lifestyles and personal choices have often caused them to grow apart from each other, although there have been many stories in which the two have decided to form a serious relationship. In the early golden age of comics, Batman often flirted with the Catwoman as he was charmed by her beauty, although not so much by her methods. Their history on the Earth 2 continuity developed to the point where Catwoman reformed and Batman admitted his love for her, formally marrying shortly after and having a daughter, Helena Wayne, who would later become the Huntress. On Earth 1, Catwoman and Batman were often at odds since they were on different sides of the law, but eventually Catwoman reformed and, as Selina Kyle, dated Bruce Wayne on and off for some time before she left Gotham again to figure herself out. She later returned as a vigilante and worked with Batman, who confessed his love for her and the second Robin until the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths reset their lives. Batman and Catwoman have had several romantic encounters in the New Earth continuity. Bruce would eventually reveal his identity to Selina and invited her to become part of his life. When Batman learned of a massive conspiracy organized by Hush, and he decided he couldn't trust her anymore, ending their relationship. However, in later storylines, it is shown that they still have, that they have still loved each other deeply. In the current Prime Earth continuity, Batman and Catwoman began a formal relationship after years of mutual attraction, and Bruce proposed to Selina shortly afterwards, which she accepted. However, Selina left Bruce, and the wedding was called off. In Tim Burton's Batman Returns, Selina, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, seems to be the true love of Bruce's life, as not only their costume identities but also their disturbed psyches are described as similar. Their relationship becomes intensely dramatic towards the end of the movie, to the point where Bruce actually implores her to abandon her vendetta against Max Schreck and come and live with him in Wayne Manor, to no avail. In Batman the Animated Series, Bruce Wayne regularly dates Selina Kyle. In Batman Beyond, Bruce hints at a relationship with Selina in his past. As in the comic books, sexual tension between their costume characters is a major story point in Batman the Animated Series. In Batman the Brave and the Bold, the two regularly flirt, which others notice. Alfred even goes so far as writing a story about them where they marry, similar to stories from the Silver Age of comics. Quick aside, this is not the end. This is not the end of this end of the Catwoman entry. Your butler writing fanfic about you and your girlfriend is crazy, and it definitely shows that Batman the Brave and the Bold is definitely a kids show because any other anything more mature than that would be calling this out instantly.
Yeah. What in the world? Alfred got too much time on his hands. Twiddling his toes together and just and Selena
Oh
and
no, oh
just
no, you know,
happily ever
he is
after.
like, that I haven't seen Batman the Brave and the Bold. It used to be free on, or it used to come with an Amazon Prime subscription on Prime Video. It no longer does. So I have not been able to see it. But if he's anything like the standard Alfred, he's clean, he's polished, everything's fine. But I just imagine him going into like whatever bedroom he stays in Wayne Manor, and he like specifically lays down on the bed with his feet toward the headboard and his head towards the footboard with a like one of those sketch sheets, and he's
Hmm.
just taking his feet up in like a smoking jacket. Like he's doing the whole like back and forth feet thing like from the early 2000s. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yep.
Yep. He's doing exactly that. In Batman Arkham
Yeah.
City, although their love is not explored, Catwoman constantly flirts with the Dark Knight whenever they meet. Catwoman even gives up her sure escape from Arkham City to go back and help the injured Batman. A hidden radio reel reveals that Catwoman had a slight grudge towards Batman, though, since he knows her secret identity, but she doesn't know his. However, by the time of the events of Batman Arkham Knight, Selina is aware of Batman's identity as Bruce Wayne, addressing him as such after he rescues her from the Riddler. In The Dark Knight Rises, Selina, played by Anne Hathaway, does not develop a romantic interest in Bruce until later on in the film. In the end, the two are shown to have developed a relationship when Alfred sees them sitting at a table nearby him at a cafe in Florence. In almost every other alternate universe and continuity, Catwoman is depicted as either strongly interested in Batman/Bruce Wayne or vice versa.
I'm not gonna
Um,
lie. Uh, I my es- especially from what I'm hearing here, even though they always get together, it's I see Selena ever staying with Batman as a what's the word? An assassination of her character. Not a brutal one, but you have to go against fundamentally who Catwoman is to say that not only does she marry Batman, but that she stays with him. Because if
I mean, isn't that
she
kind of the
stays with
point,
Batman,
though? Like, isn't
I
that kind
don't
of
know
the
it
point
should
of
be.
Batman? Is that his whole thing is that he's supposed to be like making Gotham a better place. And like obviously he's not doing this like romance card first. Like he's not like taking everybody out to dinner and being like, "Hey man, just come love me and you'll be fine." Like, obviously he's
Give
not doing
anyone
that.
a
But
quick
like
kiss.
but like I don't know. I feel like you say it's character assassination. I think it's more of character development. But you are right. If you set up Catwoman as this like esoteric, like never stay in one place, never like settle down kind of character, then you're gonna have to do a lot of work to make sure that that it's believable if you decide to set her down with Batman, or it's believable however she gets out of crime, or that you finally manage to lock her away somehow, which is doubtful. So I get what you're
Honestly, it
saying.
never
I don't
happens.
think it's
Yeah.
assassination. I think it's development. And some Catwomen are set up to be more of the sit down kind, the settle down kind, that just want to secretly just wanted peace kind. So
But like even their relationships with like how do I say it? Batman and Selina's relationship, it seems less like genuine love and more like every now and then they get lonely They enjoy the chase because they have somebody, she has someone to come after her with care and intent, and he has someone to chase, wanting to give her everything. They meet, they embrace, yada, 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 and then they separate and go about their ways. It seems like all they are is two lonely people who find solace in another crazy person. And whenever they try and actually settle down, it basically never works because what's the point of the thrill of the chase if there's no chase? You're not waking up in the morning to sprint. He's not going after you. You're just there. And even when it comes to like Selena's drive for crime, there are some continuities where it's shown that like she's doing crime to either get out of debt or because she doesn't want to be poor anymore. But the best iterations of Selena Kyle that I've seen, she robs people because she feels like it. She goes on big heists because she finds it fun and exciting. She couldn't care less about making money or all that. She just wants to have fun. And she can't do that if she decides to marry Blatz, because then she's settling down. Well, I honestly couldn't even see. It'd be like domesticating a tiger. Sure, you've seen it done before, but I don't think it should be done because mostly they want to run free, and that's why in like one of my favorite versions of this happening is in I believe Injustice, where I played the Injustice 2 game, and at the end of it, either Injustice 2 or 1, um, she in one of her endings she marries Bruce, then she divorces him because she explains why. It wasn't fun anymore. Too bad, but there's no thrill, and she's after exactly that. So I can't see her as a good pick because I don't even see that. I don't think they love each other. I really don't. I think they're both just lust-filled adults who get off to another person who's just there. I don't think they actually love each other.
I do think it's very continuity dependent because like you're talking about like, oh, she doesn't do like any of this stuff unless it's for fun. And then I remember the Batman the Animated Series episode where like a lot of her drive that she like does stuff with. Like yeah, she is committing crimes and she is kind of just doing it for the fun of it, but she's also like as Selena Kyle trying to buy up a bunch of land to uh to build a wildlife reserve for some endangered species of cat. And that's like her debut episode for Batman the Animated Series. So like she does have some like serious like she has some more like serious well-grounded things to her character in that continuity. In other continuities, I think I agree with you. They're just running the hedonic treadmill with each other. In other ones, Selena Kyle has some substance to her and she has things where she is the one who understands Batman. They're so quick side tangent. I hope you understand where this is going. There is a bunch of new research out now that kind of indicates that people on the autism spectrum kind of have almost like a wavelength connection. They almost like sync up. Almost like and I hate to use this term because I know a lot of people don't necessarily like the puzzle piece symbol for autism, but it's almost like pieces of a puzzle fitting together. And that is not meant to be like a pun for like the old puzzle piece autism symbol. It's just the best literary term to fit. In a similar way, in some continuities, their mental state has a similar puzzle piece fitting together aspect to it, and you have to write that in for Catwoman and Batman to make sense. There's several continuities where them being together doesn't make sense, but there are others where it does, and it usually turns out to be pretty wholesome um, altogether.
You wanna know what I like to call that?
Good writing?
Crazy attracts crazy.
Ah,
Yeah, psychopaths on psychopaths. Because you see it even today. A lot of people with like issues from their homes get together based off those issues. You have someone who wants control and someone who's used to being controlled. Someone who wants um someone who wants attention and someone who loves to give attention. That's the only way that they know how to show love and stuff like that. People who hurt people attract people who are hurting, such and such. And that's all I see them as. I cannot see them
which is not
as anything
necessarily
but that.
to like, but like if your relationship style is like, hey, I like to give like I like to give attention to my partner. Like that's not putting down, but like he's not right. You're not putting that down, but like there is like a healthy
Yeah, yeah.
balance of it. Yeah, yeah. Just making sure you're not like
Yeah, no, no, no.
mental illness is bad, and it's so bad that I'm blaming you for like. No, I just want to make sure you're not like going off the
No,
deep
no,
end.
no,
Like,
no.
well, maybe the
Of course.
podcast wasn't the great idea I thought it was.
Nah, just like the saying, hurt people hurt people. It's not the person's fault that they were hurt, like especially when they're young, especially in because I've seen too many instances of people who've had father issues and they go looking for a man and that man is almost exactly like their father and that man is horrible like that. It's not their fault. It's just an unfortunate situation that they were stuck into. So definitely never the person's fault unless they've gone through the same cycle over and over and over again and refuse to get help because they actually like being there. That's a whole that'd be its own episode.
Right. Um. Well, funny you should mention uh hurt people. Um. Because now we're going to get to the person who hears that sentence hurt people, and thinks it's a double command instead of a witty sentence.
Wait, let
Um,
me guess. Let me guess. I'm gonna say Harley Quinn.
you're actually wrong. She is down a little bit. She's down a little bit further. Um,
Okay, okay.
oh, you want to guess again? You
Pamela.
get three.
Oh yeah, three
You get two
tries. Okay, I'm
guesses.
down one then.
Yeah, you get two.
Uh,
You get two more guesses. Did you guess someone?
Pamela Isley, Poison Ivy.
Oh no.
Okay, one more.
Good call out though.
Hmm. Hurt people, hurt people. All right, I'm gonna say Talia Ghul for 500.
You got it on the third try. So first
Yeah.
appearing in uh in Detective Comics number 411. We're talking about Talia al Ghul next, quoted as having said, "It is true, you know. There is no man your equal. Therefore, you are the only man I can love." Daughter of the supervillain Ra's al Ghul, Talia's father has encouraged his daughter's relationship with the Dark Knight in hopes of recruiting Batman as the successor to his League of Assassins. Is also notable as the mother of Bruce's son, Damian Wayne. During their first encounters, Talia showed a devotion to the Dark Knight as strong as her love for her father, often saving Batman, but always choosing to remain by her father's side. After several encounters with Ra's, Talia and Bruce eventually had an encounter, from which their son, Damian Wayne, was born.
Yes,
Over time,
encounter.
Talia became more antagonistic towards Batman, seeking to fulfill her father's goals and rule the world with Batman at her side, and declaring war against him after his refusal. In Batman the Animated Series, of course, the webpage would reload right then.
Good job.
In Batman the Animated Series, Talia was portrayed similar to her Silver Age appearances. She later returned in Batman Beyond, but Bruce was horrified to learn that she had given up her body for her father. In Batman Arkham City, Bruce and Talia have some romantic background, and they truly care for one another, as both of them risk their lives to save the other. On Earth 16, Bruce broke off all ties with Talia because of her conflicted morals, her love for Batman on one side, her devotion for her father on the other, but mostly because she considered the two equal. That has some really odd implications that I don't want to delve into on this podcast.
Hey, like I said, some girls go looking for their
We
father
are
and
not
their
delving
boyfriend.
into this on this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
In the Dark Knight Rises film, Talia, portrayed by Marion Cotillard, poses as an executive member of Wayne Enterprises and becomes romantically involved with Bruce Wayne, wanting to take control of his company and attempt to destroy Gotham City, following her father's mad design. That's all that's on Talia al Ghul in this in on this list. Um, as mentioned before, she has kind of had a very like troubled history in comics. Um, very mixed bag, all told.
Mixed bag. Yeah,
I
it's
I will say I have seen stuff with Talia al Ghul in it. that I actually like more um than other stuff with her. Most of her stuff is just bad. She's a little too clingy to her dad. Um, she's a little too down for like, you know, being in some variety of power with a League of Assassins and teaching her like 9-year-old son to just straight up kill people. I say kill to straight up
Yeah,
murk people. Um,
unalive.
you know,
I hate that word.
it kind of we will get into the TikTokification of language at some other date, I'm sure. We are 41 minutes into recording and there is an entire like list of minor love interests. And yes, this list is split up into major and minor love interests and your personal pick is considered a minor one.
We all do know that Batman loves his minors, but that's unimportant right now. I think
Dude, you
that Talia
cannot
al
say
Ghul.
that. You
Oh,
cannot
I'll
say that.
say it again.
No, please
He
don't.
collects children like Pokemon. All right, and he's a billionaire. Bruce
We
Wayne is
okay,
one bad day away from being
we
X.
need to stay on a little bit of a topic.
Okay,
Um,
I think Talia al Ghul is better for Batman than Catwoman.
we can get off topic. I'm gonna be honest. Her character is kind of a power respects power thing. And what I'll
Hmm.
say is, for the Catwomen, I will marry Batman and actually stay by his side, and it makes sense for them to do it. She will stay. She like will stay by his side. Talia, if Batman is ever weak in some sense, I don't think she'll stick with him, and she'll probably put a knife in his back.
That's only if she's still influenced by the League. I think that she clearly cares about family. We see that in I think damn, it's been a long time, but I think that we see that she is dedicated to her family at least in the Son of the Bat animated movies. Um I, to my recollection, it's been a minute. But I do think she's more family oriented than Catwoman, who will cut and run if it isn't exciting. Talia al Ghul sticks by her family. We see that with even Ra's al Ghul. She's dedicated to her old man, as sick and twisted as he is. So with Al Ghul out of the way, which is as easily done as keeping his body away from the Lazarus pit, I could easily see her sticking with the family. Now, her not murking every villain in Gotham would be the next issue, but I do still think that she would at least stay, unlike Catwoman.
Maybe. All right. So are you ready for what I call Batman gets depression?
That man gets
Because
depression.
well, okay. Let me be more clear. For the list of minor love interests, half of them, or a good, or maybe not even half of them, but just the front ones they put up, um, tend to either die or turn out to be bad people. Um, for instance,
How is Talia? Oh, wait, 'cause she's a major love interest. Never mind. Okay.
yeah, for instance, Amina Franklin. Bruce first met
Who?
an Amina, Amin, Amina, Amina, Amina Franklin. Bruce first met
Enema.
Amina, a nurse working at Leslie Thompson's clinic, at a party, and the two dated for a short time. Amina's brother, Wayne, operated as the criminal known as Grotesque, and she was killed by her brother during a confrontation between him and Batman. April Clarkson.
That's hmm.
April
Okay.
Clarkson, also known as Midnight. April was a GCPD officer who briefly dated Bruce Wayne and assisted him as Batman in tracking down the criminal known as Midnight, who had begun terrorizing Gotham and gruesomely murdering the city's most corrupt. Bruce developed strong feelings for April and was devastated to eventually discover that she was in fact the deranged murderer all along.
That's so classic comic books. Holy moly.
So, uh, dead villain, and now we get to Taken because the next one on the list is Becca. Batman and Becca, the wife of Orion. had a strong attraction for each other after she rescued him from Darkseid's forces on the planet of Tartarus. As Becca explained to him, she could create desire in others, but it was strongest with those who denied themselves love. The desires, however, would also afflict her. She, however, had to leave him for Orion, but was later murdered.
Interesting.
In another uh, method of messing around with taken women, Black Canary. Black Canary has had a long-standing relationship with Green Arrow. She has shown an attraction to the Dark Knight, and she and Batman have shared kisses from time to time. And then I love this note. On the Elseworlds Earth 31 and Earth 37, the attraction is stronger. And
That-
there is I think in that same like All-Star Batman comic where Batman is a literal villain, um, they have an encounter on a pier with the with a bunch of burning henchmen screaming in the background.
I will say, um, this will have to be a another episode topic, but all I'll say is I hate when characters that had relationships in comics cheat for seemingly no reason, and then just I'm not sure how those comics move on, but then things just turn out all right and they just go on away with it. Like I watched X-Men '97, the
You're
first
gonna have to
season.
stop right there. I have not seen it yet. I started it and
Oof.
didn't finish it. I have been minorly spoiled, and like I got to like episode 3, and they were really hinting at some stuff that might be considered or that would be like cheating related. However, I could also see one of the other relationships in that show going very into cheating territory. I we can do an X-Men episode and we can do just a cheating in comic books episode at some
Oh,
point.
that would be a year-long episode, but
That
definitely
would
because
be
that's a
we
good
would have
topic.
to do a lot of research. This is very kind of happenstance because it's like, haha, we're starting a podcast. Let's put our best foot forward, but we're also like two college kids with like the cheapest setups known to man. Maybe I don't know, but like for that we would like actually have to like lock in. It would be that one image that was the meme image that was floating around not too long ago of like the crook who's in the interview room, with the headset on, and he's like kind of laughing and giggling, and then all of a sudden he locks in.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Um, we would have to like lock in really hard. All right, so the next one is Charlotte Rivers, a Gotham City news reporter and brief
Ew.
girlfriend of Bruce Wayne. Charlotte desired to leave Gotham, which put a rift between her and Bruce. After being seriously injured in an attempt on her life by her twin sister Jill, Charlotte called off her relationship with Wayne and accepted a job offer in Paris. Good on her, honestly.
There's
I would be honest.
genuine malice in the hearts of every citizen of Gotham. Good lord.
If like I'm gonna be honest, if like I had a family member uh try to do me like that, I think I would also take a job offer in Paris. Um,
Yeah.
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 All right.
Okay.
Dawn Golden. Dawn was the daughter of Alistair Golden, a member of a cult that practiced dark magic. I wonder how this is going to end.
Yeah. It's a real
Foresha-
head scratcher.
Foreshadowing is a narrative device. She was a childhood friend of Bruce, and later his girlfriend in college, where she was said to have broken his heart. Dawn went on to become a socialite in Gotham until her father murdered her as part of a ritual to grant himself eternal life.
No.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Who could have seen that
Huh.
coming?
I mean, we're kind of screwed up to be like making jokes about like dark ritual murder, which I guess just
Hmm,
shows that both of us are from the suburbs. But
this
but
is
like that's
true.
just it's like, oh, her father was a dark magician. I wonder how this is gonna play out. Um, we mentioned that Batman also gets the Peter Parker treatment from every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you though. It's when it comes to Batman's love interests, um, you know what? I love that I had a train of thought and it just went on to another station. So we're gonna leave it at that until it returns to me.
Hey man,
Thank you.
I've seen like far more professional podcasts than ours have that exact thing happen, so don't feel bad.
Oh, speak of the devil, it seems that the church thing is over. They shall be calling my name soon.
Okay, we
When I'm
could
recording here, make it a part one, part two, and we can like stitch the recordings together.
that might be what we do. I feel like that would be okay. You know what? Honestly, we've been pretty like error free in this recording, and maybe that will hold up, but so far there's not a lot of editing that needs to happen. So, dear audio listeners, what will be like 2 seconds for you is probably about to be anywhere from 3 hours to an entire week for us. Yippee!
Yeah.
Um, hoorah! So, we will see you back here in, well, you will see us in a few seconds' time. We will be speaking to you in another set amount of time. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. For you guys, it was just like maybe 3 seconds, depending on how I edit this. I'm sorry for whenever I edit this because that's going to be interesting because I've never edited audio before, and I'm probably going to hate the sound of my own voice, but it's fine. But for us, it was a whole day. I had like a whole uh watched like a whole 2 episodes of Batman the Animated Series and started reading in on like a whole tabletop RPG rulebook.
Yeah, man. I am ecstatic because I just got back from a Barnes and Noble's run where I got the three books of the Poppy War series, one of the greatest series that I've heard about. And then I also got the first book in the Shadow of the God series and Ship of Magic, the second trilogy in the Fool's Assassin Farseer book series. So I cannot wait to get into reading these books.
Our side quests aside, let's turn back to nominally why people are listening to us. Hopefully, is our subject matter delivered by our beautiful voices and commentary. We pick up at the rest of this list is pretty short, except for a couple entries. But we pick up with Harley Quinn. Best known as the Joker's girlfriend, Harley has had occasional romantic encounters with Batman, most notably her kiss with him in the episode Harley's Holiday from Batman the Animated Series, even though she is a villain. Recently, in the New 52, there have been a couple of stories in which Harley became infatuated either with Bruce Wayne or Batman, who has at least been interested in her.
Yuck.
That's a
That's
I'm going to be on so listener background. Harley Quinn used to be my pick for who Batman should be with. I think mostly as a
really.
joke and also mostly as a joke, but also because I think there's some stuff related to the Injustice timeline where they kind of had a
Oh,
bit of a tension to them that I was kind of like, "Oh, that's neat. I've never seen this done before. You know what? I'm going to champion this unique idea." And it's in as I got older, I was kind of like, but is that the best choice? So, no, it's not. Although I would probably enjoy a series where they set that up better. Um, most Harley Quinn characterizations are not where they would need to be for a Harley Quinn Batman romance.
I feel like Harley Quinn is done a disservice by being with anybody after the Joker. Her iterations with the Joker are absolutely phenomenal, but I think that after that, whenever she inevitably always leaves him or he's gone, I think that she should remain single because she always has to rely on somebody. I feel like it's better for her to just stick it alone and learn to just love as friends with other people, just keep friends. Um, Stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like she should be on her own, especially after how much of her character has always relied on others. But even for Batman, it feels weird seeing her with bats. Almost like I put it in the same category as Batman being with Barbara Gordon in that one in The Killing Joke, I think it was. Which I'm sure she's on this list somewhere.
I
But
was like to
I
say,
always found
you're
them
jumping the
weird.
gun.
Yeah, yeah. Popping the
Um,
bullet.
I actually do. I had never considered that before. Um, of her like maybe like working on herself and being like, happy in herself because that's definitely what the Joker leans into to turn Harleen Quinzel into Harley Quinn. Which I mean that was a easy name brand changing. Like you really should have sent. I mean, the writing should have been on the wall here. You put someone with a name that sounds like Harlequin uh, next to the clown guy, and you wondered, you know, why everything turned south.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, it's just whatever. Um,
No, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I ooh, it's kind of bad. I just realized that Harley Quinn is Harlequin,
just now
not
realizing this. See,
uh,
that was like the first thing that I like learned about Harley Quinn because
really?
is that there was like a thing named Harlequin because I was talking with this like one nerdy girl in my class in like fifth grade. Um, and she was like, "There's actually like a card name named Harlequin," and I'm just like, "Oh, that's neat." Um, but see, what it actually took me a longer time to realize, and I didn't find this out until I think it was seventh grade. And before you jump down my throat, this I did not have money for comic books, and there were no comic book stores where I was growing up. It took me till seventh grade to realize that Harley Quinn and the Joker are not supposed to be a functional power couple. They are actually supposed to be horrifyingly dysfunctional, and part of the charm is either seeing them crash and burn or her get away from him because up to
Yeah.
that point my only experience with their like romance dynamic was in the movie version of Lego Batman 2.
Hmm. I don't even remember her from that movie.
I think that was it. It was either that or playing through Lego Batman 3.
I will say, my first experience with Harley Quinn, to my knowledge, was either one of two things. I can't remember which one came first. It was either from the TV show The Batman, where we see her descent into becoming Harley Quinn, and then her dynamic with the Joker from there, or it was in Batman the Animated Series. I think there was one episode. I forget why, but Joker was like really mad, and Harlequin set up this huge thing to try and like surprise him, make him happy. And I think I might be confusing two episodes, but he either tried to like beat her or he just threw her out. I can't remember which one. But
I
in
know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
okay, good. I'm not going crazy. But I remember, especially in the episode The Batman. I love that they showed the manipulation that Joker used to get into her, and I'm always the one. But that really told me from the get go that they weren't supposed to be together. One, because Joker deserves no one; he's a sick freak. But just also because if you have to get someone through manipulation, it's probably not the person for you.
Yeah, I would say that it's better to be with someone who wants to be with you, but also someone who's going to treat you right. Now, obviously, this isn't like a psychology podcast yet, and this isn't a sociology podcast yet, and this isn't a
Yes.
relationship podcast, and probably won't ever be, but yet. Um, so, um, so like we're not gonna sit here and like talk about like oh the this that and the other, but like you really do want to be one, you want to be with someone who wants to be with you, but two, you want to be with someone who is either going to reinforce what is great about you or make you make you better. Because like if you have someone that's like going to reinforce what's great about you, you're going to get over what's not great about you per se. And if you're with
Hmm.
someone who's going to like help you get better as a person, like that's good too. I think is how that's supposed to work. I don't know. This is the wrong two guys to talk about this. Frankly.
Yeah.
But like
There's a
I've always
million
I've
other
always heard you
podcasts
want to.
that hammer this.
I've always heard you want to be around someone that like wants to be with you, but obviously you don't. Like there's people who want to be with you that are not going to have your best interest in mind and are going to be detrimental to you even though you want to be with them. And I guess that's more of what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
you want some you don't want to like weasel your way into something, but you also don't want to like you also don't want to be in a place that's going to harm you. Right. Um, so yeah, we might do a Harley Quinn episode in the future. I'm just throwing that out there. I have two comic books that are Harley Quinn comic books. I got them because I was in a bit of a Batman craze, and my local Ollie's did not have Batman comic books. So I bought Batman adjacent things, and that was Harley Quinn. Um, so maybe one day we'll go over like those two or the two comic books I have. I don't know. This is a very like this is a very almost like happy-go-lucky like episode topic decision kind of deal for right now. Um, yeah, Harley Quinn episode might be. I don't like saying like oh like hey this might be in the works because we might never do one. Um, so if you're in the comments and you want to see a Harley Quinn episode, make yourself known because that's probably going to be how we like decide to do that in the future.
All right.
So moving along, um, we get into some that I had never heard of before, starting with Jaina Hudson, also known as the White Rabbit, uh, which might mean
White Rabbit.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Jaina because this looks like Jaina. If I'm mispronouncing this, that's my bad. Jaina is a Gotham socialite of Indian descent who met Bruce at a charity fundraiser and later went on a few dates with him. She later discovered she had the unique power to duplicate herself into two separate beings, herself and a scantily clad criminal called the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit worked against Batman and often led him to other villains such as the Joker and Bane. You know, have you ever
What a
had a friend?
description.
Have you ever had a friend who always seems to date one particular type of person, even when they try to not date one particular type of
Yeah.
person?
Yeah.
That's just Bruce Wayne. That is just Bruce Wayne. It's like even when he's not even like in costume, like he's making flirtatious overtures at people who don't even know about his secret life, and it's still getting him screwed over, and they're still turning out to be criminals. It's like, man, that's some bad luck.
I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you. I feel like, especially, oh God, after when we were recording this, which was I think a day ago, I watched the video you recommended on All Star Batman, Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder. One, wow, it might be the worst piece of media I've actually no, I've received worst piece of media, but it's definitely up there as one of the worst, especially for Batman. Um, but it seems like it's one of those things where it's up to the writer because especially back in the day when which is the reason why Batman has so many of these ridiculous love interests that hold no water. It was just, hey, look at the cool Batman. He gets girls. That's just it. It doesn't make sense. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just, hey, there's a scantily clad. Even they even listed that. There's a scantily what? Anyways, there
Oh
is a
yeah,
scantily clad, ridiculous
scantily clad criminal. Yeah.
that all of a sudden Bruce Wayne just gets for no good reason, just because she's president. It's like in goodness, what was it? It's like in action movies when there'll be a random female character that's just there as a female lead to look good. She's just there. Her romance with the main character makes no sense, but she's there, so they make her connected. That's why I feel like there's a lot of these just randoms that don't make sense, and then the writers try to make sense of them, but then they just make even less sense.
Yeah. All right. So next up on our list, following that theme, is Jezebel Jet, a wealthy woman of African descent who lost her parents. Jezebel was a model and was said to own an African province. She secretly worked for the Black Glove and gained Bruce Wayne's love as part of a plot to destroy him during Batman RIP. She was later killed on Talia's orders. So Batman's girlfriend was, or Batman's ex killed another one of Batman's ex. Um,
Huh.
Sometimes had by all. Owning an African province, that's dated. That's definitely an older comics idea right there. I don't know if people own provinces anymore, like just in general. Um,
Oh no, that's 2006. She first appeared in 2006.
really? That's
I'm dead
You know
serious. I
what?
just looked it up.
Either DC is out of touch with geopolitics, or I'm out of touch with geopolitics, and I don't know which one bothers me more. Let's continue before I hit a an existential crisis. Unless you had something you wanted to throw in here, because this is a
I
very cut and
mean,
dry one.
Batman dated Jezebel. That brother has got to learn to keep it in his pants. That's all I'm saying. If you are whipping out the bat baton for
Hey,
Jezebel,
that's crazy. That's
you
crazy.
have
That's.
got to keep yourself under control.
I love how I am not going to be able to show this podcast to my mother because of you.
Hey, I'm an innocent man, and these are honest conversation. Where this is a bar, right? We got to talk real.
I mean, yeah,
Batman is a pervert.
the biblical reference to Queen Jezebel is definitely it's not subtle, but I kind of dig when stuff like that isn't too subtle. Um
But then, like, to
that's just
have
that's just me.
Jezebel betray him, I
Yeah, it
mean,
is kind of it's kind of
if
on the
Batman
nose.
didn't see it coming, if I genuinely want to read this comic just to see if he saw it coming or not, because if he didn't, he's he's definitely dumber than Detective Chimp. I'm sorry, Detective Chimp could never. There's no shot you get down with a woman named Jezebel, and then surprise she betrays you. There's
I
no
mean,
shot.
for starters, you just wouldn't do it because of the implication.
That's true.
All right, so next up is Gillian Maxwell. During the beginning of his career, Bruce found himself attracted to a woman who called herself Gillian Maxwell after meeting her at a costume party. However, he later discovered the criminal record of a woman who had used many aliases to seduce young, wealthy men, and later arranged events that led to their death so she could claim their wealth. After Alfred told Bruce of this, he was heartbroken, but he kept an eye on the woman. When she used the identity Audrey Margaret in Brazil, Bruce, as Batman, sent her a note ordering her to confess to all her crimes. So someone at DC must have watched that Adams Family sequel from the 90s and just thought that they needed to bring it to Batman, who I'm actually, now that I think about it, especially given Batman the Animated Series, I'm a little surprised that there isn't more like of a crossover. I don't know. We're not talking about the goth community at this time, and I don't really know much about it myself, but they keep every time I go to watch Batman the Animated Series, it talks about how it's an Emmy awarded gothic animation show, and that kind of makes me think like it would be like a that Batman would be some kind of goth subculture icon. But
He
maybe
probably
this maybe
is. Now that
maybe
I
the
think about it.
subculture is focused more on like, I mean, there is like, from what I understand, there is like a focus on like fiction and like literature and that kind of stuff. Um, there's also a big focus on like politics and like the real world. So I could easily see like that influence making Batman not necessarily so much of a thing for it. Um, I don't know. I am woefully underqualified for the kinds of discussions I get into. So it's just whatever, man.
Let's be honest though. How many people start podcasts and then are actually qualified to be yapping about a hot 90% of what they talk about?
I think we're reaching existential crisis territory again.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, this one is just weird to me because this feels like it'd be just like a one-off issue. like a special, like back when they still called it Detective Comics, just a one-off issue, done and done. Because she seems just kind of, she seems also like she would just be a throwaway villain for a single episode of the animated series. Because I
It's
cannot,
it might be, I don't
see her
know.
going more.
But see, here's my thing. Is that it's just so much. I mean, now that you bring it up, yes, this does kind of seem like a early comics thing. So my question is, which one inspired which? Did the Addams Family inspire this Batman plotline, or did Batman inspire that Addams Family plotline? Like how if Batman isn't some kind of like fictional goth icon, then how many degrees of separation is he away from fictional goth icon? I'm using that term very loosely. Um,
It's a very good question. Is the Adam Family's like two movie you're talking about Adam's Family Values?
yeah,
So that came out in 1993, the exact same year as this character.
I am. Oh, excuse me. We might have to do more of an exploration into like how pop culture interacts with each other. And I know I'm doing the thing I said I hate to do earlier in the episode. This might be a important time to talk about how I am a raging hypocrite. Anyways,
You know what's interesting
if
about
you
this though? What makes it even
what
more interesting?
were they released on the
The
same day?
Adams, no, that'd be crazy. But the Adams Family movie came out. It first released in theaters 1919, and then that's the November 19th, 1993. That's when the this one came out as the sequel from the 1991 movie. The character that we're talking about here, Gillian Maxwell, came out in Batman Legends of the Dark Knight Halloween Special 1993. So it's safe to assume in October of 1993. So she very well could have been directly inspired by the Addams Family too.
Man, that's you know what I that's that's impressive. That's cool. Speaking of
Hell of a connection.
weird coincidences, next one up on our list. I think we can. You know what? If this is your pick for Batman and you see nothing wrong with this pick, put it down in the comments. I want to see a good argument for this. I don't have a good argument for this. I like to play devil's advocate about some things. I'm not going to play devil's advocate with this. The next one up on our list is Julia Pennyworth, the daughter of Alfred and French resistance fighter Marie Marie. Julia was introduced by Doug Moenek in the early 1980s, but efforts to make her a romantic partner of Bruce Wayne proved difficult because of the presence of Vicky Vale and Nocturna. I
So his
don't
sister.
think it's a good idea to make eyes at your butler's daughter. That seems like a slight breach of etiquette as well as a
No,
possible
no, no,
power
no.
imbalance.
It goes past your butler's daughter. Alfred basically raised Bruce. That is his father. He is called Alfred father before, I believe. This is his father's daughter. That is Bruce Wayne's sister, not by blood, but that is his sister. And to have love going on is some nasty work. Because I know
Like
that if
I
I was a father and I raised a kid as his butler, been introduced to my daughter, I'll smack the hell out of him. He tries to date my daughter. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
I mean, okay. I was gonna say I can't make a devil's argument for this, but I can slightly. Um, because this actually plays out surprisingly, or not in the broad strokes. This plays out a little similar to Aragorn and Arwen from the Lord of the Rings, because Aragorn spent his like early years in Rivendell with Elrond, and Elrond did kind of raise him, and Aragorn basically kind of went on vacation to Lothlorien and met Arwen, who is Elrond's daughter. So, I mean, and that's not the only issue with their relationship, but I want you, Joshua, to finish the Lord of the Rings trilogy before I go into some of the other stuff that is easily problematic about their relationship. Um, because
That is
I
a good
want you to
point.
enjoy it
Let's do
first.
that.
Um,
Yeah,
so like I kind of get it. Like if they weren't like around each other, then it isn't like that. It isn't so much of like this weird like emotional like uh uh. Well, I was gonna say cosangual, which is like the scientific term for it, but that like implies like specific like blood relations. So this weird like emotional like interconnection, shall we say? Um, like if they were like always around each other and then they did this, like that would be one thing. But if this was like Alfred, like if Alfred like never had his daughter around and then she was doing this kind of or then they got together, that would be like kind of a different ball game.
you know what? On further thought, that does make a bit more sense because, like, I guess, I guess I could see like if there's a mentor and the mentor has his mentee who's like and he's like a second father to the mentee's apprentice. Then he introduces his daughter to this apprentice, and then they fall in love. I guess I could see that. Um,
This is it's weird. We just sped run like the moderate or like the moderatization of like a topic because we were both like, "Oh, this is vile. This is nasty." Well, actually, hang on. There's some justification for this. So I guess it kind of depends on how they were doing it, how they set up the backstory
it's
for her
DC
back in the day.
Comics. They released a fart scratch and sniff
We are
comic for
not
Harley
going to
Quinn.
talk about that particular Harley Quinn
I
comic, and
don't
no, that is
trust
not the Harley
them.
Quinn comic that I bought. Um,
I don't
for
trust
audience
them.
reference. That is,
I
you know
don't
what? That's
trust
kind of
them.
fair. Well, here we can get into the next bit of something that doesn't you can't trust. Kathy Kane, otherwise known as Batwoman, was first introduced as a female counterpart for Batman. Batwoman developed into a romantic partner in the Silver Age, where many imaginary stories featuring Kathy and Bruce getting married were published. Batwoman's love for Batman was never reciprocated, and he only saw her as a good friend. On Earth 2, Batwoman resigned to live without Batman's love. And in the Earth 1 continuity, Kathy Kane was murdered by the League of Assassins. In the New Earth
Okay.
continuity, Kathy Kane was romantically interested in Batman in a couple of stories by Grant Morrison, who liked to use Silver Age content as reference for his works.
Starting to see a bit of a theme here that at least in the old days, the writers just needed to have females
They were
like the
they were throwing
only
everything at the wall. I mean, like that
yeah.
part of that's the culture of the time, and part of that is just it's I guess that's like what they wanted to cultivate as like their like so one of the early versions of what we would now call clickbait is specifically found in comic books, but specifically with Superman comic book covers, because that was their bigger sell. And on the covers of Superman comic books, they would have they would have they would have Superman doing like really outlandish things, so you'd buy the comic book and see what he did, and it would always be convoluted, but Superman would still end up being a good guy, even though he was looking like he was doing some very jerky things. I was thought we were talking about Hugby's video on the evil All Star Batman. Hugby's also does a video on these like outlandish Superman comic book covers. He might have done two, not sure. But yeah, it got bad in the day. Like he'd be like straight up about to kill people, and then nope, surprise, it just looked like that because he has to trick the supervillain into thinking that he's mind controlled. So maybe they're doing a similar thing. Maybe they did a similar thing with Batman, where like, oh, look at how Batman is this man of mystery who strikes out from the shadows into the heart of evil and always can find always finds love but can never enjoy it. Like, I wonder if that was like the kind of like clickbait tease or clickbait-esque teasing thing that they did for their audience.
Yeah, at the same time, another angle to this, it feels like a lot of these female characters were made with the sole singular intent of being obsessed with Bruce Wayne or liking Bruce Wayne or being interested in Batman because that's all that the writers wanted to get out of that. Like, there are so many different ways that they could have used Batwoman and other things. I'm sure they've gone about to do great things with them. But with this long list of ladies, I can't help but just see it, the pattern of, hey, Johnny, we need something to spice up this next Batman story. How about a woman? Oh, we already did that. How about a woman who's slightly different from the other woman? Well, then how are we going to attract readers? She still is obsessed with Batman. Great idea.
Brilliant! By
That's all I'm
George,
saying.
you've got it.
Literally. It's like, what was it? Dang. I think there was something. It's like, oh, it's like in, I was just watching this funny YouTube video where this guy was reviewing an anime that he couldn't stand. And I remember hearing about this anime for years, but I never got to watch it because I was just never interested enough to try. And because I was lazy. It's called In Another World with My Smartphone. And watching this dude's video, it genuinely baffled me how this anime not only released in 2017, but then got a season two in either 2022 or 2023. And the entire I'm dead serious. This is the entire premise of the show. The main character can use every type of magic because he has a smartphone, and he is
That's
fated to
hilarious.
be married to 9 wives and give them all
That's
children.
less hilarious.
And I'm dead serious. This guy goes to the like the original season. Every single one of these female characters is bland as paper, and the
Yikes.
only use they have is loving the main character, fighting for his affection, and glazing him. That is what it feels like with Batman. Just a bunch of randoms who are just different enough for them to say that they're not the same character, and all of them just want the bat baton. I cannot
That's
fathom why.
crazy. Um, so we are running a little longer than we were planning to, so we have two options. Either we can kind of speed run through the rest of the list, or we can just hit the highlight reels of like the most important characters.
How many more we got left?
More than I thought. Probably another like 10 to 15 left.
Dear, yo, I'm sorry. Batman is, I'm going to stand on this. Batman is either a womanizer or a pervert, or he
Oh,
actually does have superpowers being a chick magnet. Because this dude is genuinely unable to keep his pants on. Now, I gotta give respect to him purely because he only has one biological kid. But regardless, this old man needs to stop his antics.
I'm looking
15 more. That's criminal.
I'm looking through this list, and they put a comic book cover on here, and then in the top right corner, sorry, top left corner just says "Women Dark and Dangerous," and it's a picture of Batman kissing Nocturna. And I think, you know what? I think you're right. I think it's just that they wanted to spice it up. Um,
That's what I'm saying.
we will
I
touch on
mean,
that
look
in
at
a
All
little.
Star Batman.
I don't want to look at All Star
Mhm.
Batman.
That's a fair point. I apologize. That
So
was
I guess we'll try to. Actually, we'll get to the one before the heavy hitters, and then we can just kind of hit the heavy hitters, and
all right.
that might be the best way to do it. So the one before the first of the heavy hitters is Linda Page, and the reason I really want to talk about her is she's a character adapted from the Batman serial from 1943. Linda Page was introduced into the comics during the Golden Age as a romantic partner for Bruce Wayne. A former socialite, she dedicated her time as a nurse for the elderly, disproving the stereotype that rich women were spoiled and lazy. She dated Bruce for a few issues, but later fell between the cracks and disappeared. That is criminal.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I will still stand for Catwoman being the best option given like how much how good that can or how well that can be done. DC needs to bring back Linda Page. Figure out some way to modernize the character. Maybe maybe have her. I mean, the stereotype about rich women being like self-absorbed and spoiled, like that, like that still happens. Like you wouldn't even have to do too much to modernize it. Just maybe may and like like I don't know. I don't know. I want to see this character happen more. I want to see DC use something, use her in something. Just um,
Hmm. Honestly, she seems interesting, but I can't help but not want to see any more of her because I feel like they would just turn her into another generic character we've seen all too often nowadays, which is the girl who's unique, but she actually isn't because the only unique thing about her is that she's not like other girls, but she is. Like
you know what?
her,
That's I get your concern. In my head, it's better written than that, thus it doesn't fall into those into that territory. But I don't write for DC. I'm not sure I could write for DC. I could maybe like come up with broad strokes and be in a writer's room. I probably couldn't write for DC. Um, so
Mhm.
but again, just so little to talk about, and yet for what little there is to talk about her with, that's actually like pretty interesting, like relatively interesting.
Oh yeah,
All right, so the next one we've got for the heavies hitters list, I want you to take a guess. How mad do you think you're about to be?
I'm mad. I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. No, I'll keep it nice and even. Five, depending on the character. Why is it?
The next one we're talking about is Lois Lane. When the new Batman adventures crossed over with Superman the Animated Series, Bruce developed a relationship with Lois Lane, much to Superman's annoyance. Lois discovered that Bruce was Batman and broke off the relationship as it was difficult for her to be part of his secret life, but he kept a secret, or sorry, she kept a secret. She never admitted that she sometimes had second thoughts. In the New 52 Comics line, Lois, who still worked as a reporter for the Daily Planet, met an amnesiac Batman who acted nicer while trying to meet with Richard Mangabat in Gotham. He saved her life multiple times and
I
was confident in her abilities to fight. As she sparred with him on a rooftop in Batgirl's suit, Batman flirted with her and had developed an attraction towards her while also trying to take her help in his cases. The two mutually fell in love and were heartbroken that he'll lose all the feelings he had for her by regaining his memories after they kissed. After regaining it, he was horrified of having kissed her and left her after helping Superman regain his memories.
now okay. First of all, I hate reporters. I stand on that. I hate reporters. So already raising that five to a hot steaming seven. But then she is in a act. It sounds at least like she is actively with Superman. You will not, and maybe I'm wrong. I have never seen this, but you will not see the Superman writers have Superman pull Catwoman, pull Talia. You don't see Superman reaching his hand in Batman's bag. And yet, this
That's
greedy man, this pervert, wants to reach his hand into the goodie bag of another hero.
I
This is
wouldn't
what
put
I
it like
mean.
goodie bag because that's a little bit objectifying, but I get what you're saying. It's like, man,
Metaphorically,
that's
metaphorically.
that's
It's just,
like that
it's
is,
disgusting. It's
and
crazy.
they do the thing if Batman can have no nice things and make it so that the only reason he gets with her is because of like memory loss. And so it's like, and then once he gets his memories back, he's like, "Oh my goodness." I wonder if like the reason he was so mortified was because he was wondering if this is the time when Superman finally stops believing in humanity and just goes
Yeah.
bat crap insane.
And look, if Batman can't have nice things because those nice things already belong to somebody else, let him sit alone. Holy greed. This is some biblical greed. That's some David Bathsheba type movement. This man sees her like, "Ah, man, She kind of bad though. Oh no, but I can't. I can't.
Type of greed the Bible talks about.
What? Nah, that's wrong. Holy moly! Ugh. It's just
Well,
you just
speaking,
imagine, huh?
oh, I was
Go
gonna
ahead, go
move
ahead.
on, but you apparently still have more to say.
Yeah, because like if you imagine any other hero pulling something like this, imagine, um,
Well, they're
imagine
instant.
if
They're instantly getting knocked down a peg.
literally, but it's the Batman, and I love me some Batman, but no other hero could get away with uh, sliding in freaking Superman's girl's lane. There's no he would have laser eyed anybody else. I'm gonna believe. I'm gonna choose to believe that Superman would have fried anybody else, and I choose to believe he knew that it was Batman because that boy is superhero. And I don't care what they do with the comics. I believe Superman heard them, and he would have erased Batman if he was anybody else.
Apparently, he had lost his memories too at one point, but yeah, it's a
Okay.
whole setup. But you would talk about the Bible, and the Bible does take a good bit to warn against women of ill repute, and you might even say women dark and dangerous, although that would be kind of an apocryphal translation. Um, and how I get and why I'm saying that particular phrasing is because we're going back to Nocturna or Natalia Knight, who I mentioned earlier in the episode. Just flipping through this, the most remarkable of Batman's love interests in the early 1980s was Nocturna, aka Natalia Knight, created by Doug Moenik. She was a jewel thief who briefly adopted Jason Todd and knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman. Talia suffered from a rare light sensitivity disease, and her skin was bleached white. Nocturna was said to use a special narcotic as a perfume, which caused every male to fall deeply for her. Batman was no exception, and the two of them started a relationship as they were both equally fascinated by the other. Eventually, Batman realized his love for Nocturna was an obsession caused by the drug, and he struggled to stop thinking about her. Nocturna disappeared during the Crisis on Infinite Earths after being stabbed by her brother, floating into the crimson sky of the Crisis in her balloon. She was presumed dead, although her other versions of the character have appeared since. However, they are different from the pre-Crisis Nocturna.
I mean, I wouldn't even call that romance. I'd call
Yeah,
that
that
what Talia was doing, but worse. That ain't even love.
yeah, that one's bad. I
She
feel like
drugged
there's
him.
not much more to be said there other than that one. Drug-induced relationships are probably not a good idea,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
is a
I would
load
agree.
bearing probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, But speaking of chemicals, we move on.
Oh God.
We move on to Pamela Isley, otherwise known as Poison Ivy. Poison
How'd
Ivy
I
is a
know?
villain who often relies on seduction and the manipulation of pheromones to drive men around her to obey. This is no different with Batman, who initially confused the lust and desire caused by Ivy's methods for love. Ivy has a somewhat love-hate relationship with Batman. On some occasions, she claims to love him and desires his affections, while on others, while on others she is more than willing to kill him. Bruce and Pamela had a brief but genuine romantic relationship after he helped to cure her of her condition. This came to an end when Pamela seemingly died in an attempt to turn herself back into Poison Ivy.
I mean, at this point, it feels like if they share a kiss with Batman, they gonna say it's a love interest. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Not to mention, she drugs him frequently, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't even
this is
champion
also
that.
this is also a hey guys, don't do it. Don't nope, just stay away. Um but now we get to someone who is it's kind of like this list is in alphabetical order, but that kind of makes it criminal that this is the uh almost the last one on the list. You're going to be excited to hear this one because now we're talking about Wonder Woman. Um
Woohoo! Let's
they
go.
don't give her like a name that she like her secret identity. And I think that's because in most cases, uh, she is just Wonder Woman. Everybody would say that Bruce Wayne's secret identity is Batman, right? You could phrase it like that. Uh, Wonder Woman is just exactly that. She's just Wonder Woman. Now I do think that most often they give her the name Diana Prince for
Yep.
whenever she's not Wonder Woman. I don't know why this list isn't giving her like her name. So it's almost like that Batman Beyond episode where he had apparently had people talking in his head. And he's like, I knew it wasn't my own voice because they kept calling me Bruce. Um, to which he's asked, well, what do you usually call yourself in your head? And he just turns and smiles. It's like that makes sense because of course Batman would call himself Batman in his head.
I mean, shoot, there was that one time in the comics where Wonder Woman got her lasso of truth on him. It was like I couldn't remember what she was doing, but he admitted that in his mind he was just Batman. He saw Batman and Bruce Wayne as two different people.
And he's just Batman. Well, for Wonder Woman, in the Earth 1 continuity, Wonder Woman genuinely fell in love with Batman while initially pretending to do so in order to nab Copperhead. The two later expressed interest in each other as well as attempted to date later on. In Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman Trinity, after first meeting him, she becomes conflicted at his ways, finding him complicated and obsessive, but comes to see him as a loyal comrade. Batman, however, keeps fighting for the memory of when he kissed her on Paradise Island after being overwhelmed by its enchantments and her beauty. In the New Earth continuity, their relationship was initially strained, but they came to recognize the goodness in each other. Batman eventually grew to care for her deeply and was saddened due to Diana's soul being incinerated by Neron. The two became close friends, though she resented that she apparently had no effect in changing his ways. Bruce responded that they'll just have to accept who they are and gifted her a rose. They eventually developed a flirtatious relationship, which continued for a time even after they decided not to pursue a romantic relationship. Batman once, days, stated he found her beautiful, just just like he as an imperfect human was. The two kissed during the Obsidian Age story arc before dying and resurrecting. Later, they decided to have a talk about their feelings and briefly tried to date, but nothing came of their relationship as Diana stated that they had potential, but she didn't want to risk their friendship. The two decided to end it. She later admitted she briefly held romantic feelings towards both Batman and Superman in past, describing the former as a man whose life has no scope for long-term relationships. All his focus was in crime fighting. They still cared deeply about one another as good friends, and Diana still harbored love for Bruce, as shown in a vision of her kissing him, breaking her out of the hold of the Black Lantern ring, as well as during the time Mara using the lasso of truth in the Blackest Night arc. They also continued flirting sometimes with one another after their relationship had ended. The relationship is echoed in the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated series set within the DCAU, where the two developed a romantic attraction but were reluctant to act upon it. She stayed back on the worlds of the Justice Lords after falling in love with Lord Batman while helping him in his war against the other Justice Lords. The two eventually married, but he was killed by Lady Wonder Woman. In the Rebirth comic line, Diana and Bruce were trapped for decades in the Realm while fighting the hordes of Gehenna. She confessed to Bruce one night that she finds him attractive. The two feel mutual attraction and lean in to kiss, but stop themselves as they are already committed to other people. They, however, remain good friends with each other. Hey
See,
man, I know this is your pick, and for some of these continuities, I will say, more than likely, the Catwoman in them, it would not make sense for Batman and Catwoman to get together. So pop off. Batman and
yeah,
Wonder Woman, sure. And then for some of them, it's just like, you know what? Neither one of you deserve nice things. I wonder which continuity I'm talking about.
even then, it ain't even fair. I will pull this card. It's the writers. I swear it's the writers. Because like Wonder Woman. I mean, like if Batman can have a long-term relationship married to Catwoman of all people, he can have that with Wonder Woman. It
Yeah,
is
I mean,
purely the writers keeping them separate.
You know what? I see your point on that, and I'm gonna be honest. I never hated the idea of Batman and Wonder Woman being together, but I always thought the Bat and the Cat just kind of made more sense. And I still love a lot of the Batman Catwoman like storylines, but I'm gonna be honest, the Wonder Woman Batman thing is kind of growing on me. I wouldn't mind seeing more of it.
Hey, check out Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, where we see them at their best. Like it that's why I really mainly started to see them as being great for each other, especially in the storylines where Batman works with the League, because a Wonder Woman in the Justice League left unchecked too often leads to issues with like injustice, where she was the main force behind Superman turning into what he became. But a Wonder Woman with Batman in the Justice League, more often than not, I've seen it end better or go better. And not to mention, the best relationships start out as friendships. I see it as a beautiful thing that if the writers would stop blocking, this is the one time I actually want him to throw the pants away and get busy. And the one time
I
you got the
hate you.
authors actively building a wall. I don't see why.
It's for storytelling tension, I guess.
Storytelling. Oh my, ooh, no. Just because they don't want to have to go through the trouble of actually putting them together. Because it'd be a drastic change for Wonder Woman. Batman would never change his ways, but Wonder Woman might be willing to settle down in Gotham. I don't know. It'd be difficult, and I think they just didn't want to bother going through with it.
That's fair. All right. I I want to hit the next three kind of quickly because they're all short and they're the end of the highlights reels. And I feel like a lot of our for two of these, I think that our commentary is going to be very, very the same for two of these entries. Maybe, I don't know. So
And we
next
gotta
up
relook.
is
We gotta rush up and close up shop
yeah,
because yeah.
Zatanna Zatara, the first occasion in which Zatanna was portrayed as a strong romantic interest of Bruce Wayne was in Batman the Animated Series, where the two of them met in their youth and were interested in each other, but Bruce gave priority to the pursuit of his training to become Batman. As adults, they met again and realized they cared for each other, but nothing came out of it. This history was later introduced to the comics. Batman and Zatanna had a major falling out after Bruce found out Zatanna had mind wiped him after he walked in on her mind wiping Dr. Light at the Justice League's instruction. Batman made it clear after these incidents he no longer trusted Zatanna. However, the two eventually resolved their issues and became close friends once again. And then the other two is Andrea Beaumont. In Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Andrea is a woman that Bruce Wayne was briefly engaged to prior to becoming Batman. She broke off the engagement when she and her father had to flee the country to escape the mob. She later became the title villain to get revenge on former mobsters. And then lastly, and yikes, um, Barbara Gordon, otherwise known as Batgirl, the
Yeah.
daughter of Police Commissioner James Gordon in the DCAU. Barbara hinted at having been in a brief relationship with Bruce in the Batman Beyond TV series. In the Batman Beyond 2.0 comic series, it's revealed the two gave in to romantic impulses and Bruce had made her pregnant. In the recent animated adaptation of Batman the Killing Joke, Batman and Batgirl developed a mutual attraction and later had an encounter. Early on in the main continuity comics, she was shown to have attraction to him. Now, here's what I will say for Barbara Gordon. For continuities, like, of all things, the 60s Batman with Adam West, that makes sense. She is unrelated to the main cast, and she is also like a full-grown woman in that continuity, if memory serves. Um, for other continuities, though, Batman. I,
Nah.
I didn't think you were that kind of millionaire, and
Yeah.
we're going to leave that at
Yeah.
subtext because I don't want this. I don't want our first video to get taken down by the powers that be. So,
I could say one name and let this thing get nuked, but I won't. I will instead segue
yes, please do
to
not shoot
uh
yourself in the foot, which is also not a like thing that is happening, YouTube reviewers. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, so Zatanna
Zatanna.
also fits a similar place where oftentimes she is like in a similar thing of Barbara Gordon as where like she's, you know, not Batman's age. She's closer to uh, Dick Grayson, Dick Grayson's age.
Yes.
And for those continuities, I'm not comfortable with Batman being with Barbara Gordon or Zatanna. Then there are other continuities where, Zatanna's the same age as Bruce, or Barbara Gordon is the same age as Bruce, and thus it's like very obviously not a problem here. But specifically for like Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond, Barbara Gordon is the same age as Robin and is a college kid while Bruce is almost pushing 40.
Now, I won't lie to
And
you.
now I'm not going to sit here and be, because there are people who have like whose parents have like crazy age caps, but it was all like legal and above board. So I'm not going to say every gap relation like that is bad because you do have families that have like genuine like good healthy relationships like that and it was all legal and it was all above board. But I understand why people do have a problem with them a lot of times because a lot of times it also involves weird power and money dynamics that
Yeah.
can look fishy. And I'm gonna be honest. For as much as I say I'm not gonna sit here and like criticize you, I'm also gonna sit here and say sometimes sometimes the reason the optics are bad is because the morality is bad.
Yeah, and people just want to make excuses, which is why we get into optics when they can't just accept that, hey, sometimes something's bad just because plain and simple. You don't need to back it up. You don't need to defend it. Sometimes things are just bad. But on Zatanna, I have a personal bias because I grew up watching Young Justice, and I remember Zatanna being introduced to the team. She was a love interest for Robin, and I think that was her at her best. And if not with Robin Nightwing, then with John Constantine, which suits her whole theme
Okay,
better.
I will
And
say,
also,
that also
yes.
depends on continuity because if she's like Robin's age, and
Oh,
if she's
then
like
not with
Robin's age, then Constantine is a bad pick. But if she's like
yeah,
Bruce's age,
yeah,
then Constantine is not a
much better.
bad pitch. Is Constantine like immortal? I haven't gotten into a lot of the John
No, no.
Constantine stuff. All I know is there was that one thing where they had him be exes with King Shark, and that was a surprisingly funny scene because usually I don't really find like misunderstanding jokes funny in media. Because they were thinking that Harley Quinn was his ex. It turns out to be King Shark. I usually do not find those like misunderstanding jokes funny. That one was kind of funny. I think it's all because of how they animate King Shark just smiling in like a really particular way. I think that's why I found it funny. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
that is all
Constantine
of.
isn't immortal to my knowledge. I think he just like
I forgot I had asked a
I
question.
could have sworn I might be wrong about I might be wrong about this confusing with someone else, but I could have sworn I heard that he was like banned from hell or something like that. But also another little like last thing, Batman seems to have so many childhood friends that this guy falls in love every week. He just had problems as a kid, which is obvious because his parents got boomed in the alleyway. But dang it, man. He was on after a new girl literally every other day, it felt like.
What's the phrase that keeps going around Instagram right now? Some people drown while others die of thirst.
Lobsters to
Which
butter.
I'm
They
guessing was
will
part of
choose
the
me.
like marketing strategy for Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, that is our first episode. Um, Thank you for stopping by the Eclectic Saloon. This morning, this afternoon, whenever you're listening. But this is our last call. So if you did get anything to drink, hopefully you can still stand after drinking it, I guess. Um, and there should be more content coming on soon. We've got a couple episodes in the pipeline, but we'd love to see your comments down below. Um, Joshua, is there anything you want to shout out before we end the episode?
Um, hmm. Shout out to the mentally ill that Batman preys on. Because Lord knows they need help. He beats up mentally ill people for fun. That's his billionaire evil. But yeah, don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. Thank you for listening.